Hello, friends. This is Alia Jamal, the Heart Mentor, and today we are meeting for our weekly workshop. And today we have a very, very interesting topic, and that is how to reincarnate without leaving the body. And I do have a whole chunk of notes here that I'm pulling up. Usually, when we hear the word reincarnate, we think about I'm going to die and I'll go in the upper world. There will be more breathing or more soul contract, and then I'll come back. But there's another way of reincarnation exists. And once I learned this, I became so much more excited about my life because you can reincarnate on demand as well. But you also reincarnate through challenges that come up in your life. So those are the things we have already made a commitment at the soul level. There's no victims in this lifetime. There's only volunteers. We all have volunteered to go through all the human craziness that we go through. But today we'll be learning how to understand what's going on in your life and how you can move through it, but most importantly, how you can do it on demand. And that is my favorite part. How can I expand and grow without leaving the body? A human has the ability to live as many lifetimes as they want in one human experience. We don't really have to die and come back and repeat the whole pattern again. We do that because we are not engaged with life. We are not engaged with our soul. We're just lost in the shininess of this world, and world can be very, very shiny. We all have experienced that firsthand. I am going to be sharing some deeper concept, and there I'll say I'm sharing from a place of a student. I am in no way a master at this thing, but I like to learn and I like to bring it to you or whoever wants to learn. That is how I integrate. So before we go even further, I want to just give you a little bit of a breakdown on soul and what soul is and why reincarnation even happened. This is a very complex topic. I'll try to break it down as much as possible. So let's say the soul has come into the body for the first time, right? Um, there are 120 levels of the soul. Five come into the body. So I'm just going to talk about those five levels. So let's say the first level is if you're coming first time, you'll have this first level intact. And even that first level does not come fully. We get increment of soul over 7 periods of time. So you're born, you're a baby, and a baby is more in the upper world than really in this world. At 7, we get the next level, and then 14, we get the next level, and between 20 and 21, we get the next level. So usually, if you want to do deeper work in terms of astrology, in terms of human design, in terms of really deep stuff that we do, it's best to wait till you're 2021 and then really start looking into it. And something for, I would say, soul contracts. They don't kick in for girls till 12, and then for boys, it's 13. What does that mean? Does it mean like whatever you're living up until then is not part of your soul contract? That is not what it means. After that, it's like I have an active role in it. And if I don't play that active role after I turn 12, then I will be just blaming the rest of the world. And that is what we all have done for most of our life till we understood, oh, I can actually play a role in where my life goes. So that is what it means. So then it happened 21, 28, 35, 42, 49. The time period between 35 to 42 is very, very important. A lot of people go through what we call it midlife crisis. It's not midlife crisis. After 42, your soul wants you to be in the driver's seat. And what happens? Most of us, we are more worried about when we are retiring. We are more worried about how big my house is, how much I have in my bank account. So that is not what soul is here to do. That is part of being a human. We are so focused on our physical life, and that is when soul really wants you to do what you came here to do. So that is just to understand we get that light in increments. It doesn't just come into our body all at the same time. Our body's physical, it cannot really handle that much light at the same time. So, getting back to this, let's say the soul came for the first time, they are getting the level one. If, let's say, they are very focused, they're very inspired, they're very connected, maybe they did have parents who guided them on a spiritual path and they are working on connecting with their soul. I don't mean a religious path. Religion is spirituality are two different things. And if you don't know that, I believe I have a whole workshop I did on that. Well, if you don't know that, just reach out to me. I'll share the link with you. So let's say this kid has developed like, this person has really developed level one. They will have the opportunity to be able to, develop level two. They also have the opportunity to connect with a higher soul at level two. It gets very complicated. I am again sharing it from a student perspective, not a master at this at all. But let's say if this person is like, dilly-dallying, like I did for a good chunk of my life, and then they go back, next time they come back, then they will have to redo one. Let's say they left after they are complete here. It really feels like a graduation process. Dying is graduation. It's a really good thing. It's not a bad news. When they come next time, they have intact one and then they are working on two. Now, what is the beautiful thing about universe? It gives us opportunities. For example, let's say if I came in this lifetime and I do have an intact one and I am here to work on number two, and then I am just lost in the world, universe is going to provide me the right circumstances to wake me up. That is one way, and that is a very difficult way. I personally went through that. Or I can be so engaged in my life where I can evolve and expand and grow as a soul. So I just wanted to give, I'm trusting I did not confuse you with all these different levels, but I just wanted to share that we are given the opportunity to expand. If you don't take that opportunity, then it's handed to you. What does that handed to you look like? That can look like a divorce that you didn't want, but you have to, because that is what just the situation is. It's not safe for you. It could look like your career just ended. Maybe your whole field just completely disappeared overnight. That happened to me one time. It can also mean that you lost a loved one. It could be, a sibling. It could be a parent in a very young age. It could also mean your own child. We all know how difficult it is to lose a loved one. So when a person leaves, everybody around them have the opportunity to reborn. And that is reincarnation in the body. But usually what happens, we get stuck in the grief. And sometimes we don't process grief. And I personally know someone who has been gone many years without processing that grief. So what your life is going to look like, it's going to feel stuck. So if right now your life feel stuck, it's not moving anywhere, it's very possible that something happened and you're stuck in that I don't want to grow process. You have not processed the grief because it is very easy to not process your grief. There's so many things to distract us. So we do get distracted and we don't process that grief. Um, Another thing that I wanted to add here before we go into the details, I have my notes here, so I'll be looking there quite a bit. Um, Sometimes we think like, life is just asking me to grow. There's a difference in growth and rebirth. Growth is, um, the doctor tells you your numbers are not looking really good. I think, you should quit smoking. That would be very helpful. That's growth. Now you would look at different food choices and it would be inconvenient and then you'll make those changes and then your numbers will improve. That's growth. You grew as a person. Now rebirth would be the doctor told you from this moment on you cannot even smoke one cigarette because there's this heavy diagnosis. Now your whole life is falling apart. And you go into that shock and you're like, what do I do with myself? So you not just have to change the way you eat, your work might has to change, your lifestyle has to change, maybe your doctor visits will have to change, maybe there's a surgery that's going to happen. So by the time you're done with the whole thing, you're going to be such a different person that you will not be able to recognize that that is how much you're changed. That is rebirth. And that is a rebirth that has been forced on you because you were too busy distracted in the world. So I just wanted to give you an example of what a rebirth could be because a lot of people get stuck in the rebirth process because that requires processing grief. And we'll go a little bit more into that. Why it happens, we want to understand why do we have to go through this interesting experience as a human. Our our life experience is truly like a red carpet that is unfolding. It's a process that is unfolding. What do we want? We just want a little bit of ourselves and we don't want to get to know the rest of us. But that process is going to happen. The old version has to leave and a new version is emerging. The old version is going to be left behind and a new version is going to emerge. Because look at it, every 7 years, you're being given access to more of your soul's light. So don't you think every 7 years you will be evolving into a completely new human being? That is if we stay with the script, but as a human we get distracted. We don't stay with the course. That is the fun part of being human. We have free will. We don't have to participate in any of that. We can just forget about any of that. But when we stay the course, when we stay loyal to our soul, that is when we get to experience the most authentic version of ourselves. And if you have never tasted that, my friend, I would really invite you to work on it and get to taste it. I have lived as a person that felt like that's not even my life. I'm just forcing that life on myself. And today I live as a much more authentic version of myself, and it feels beautiful. It feels exciting. It feels joyful. It feels juicy. I could be just sitting there doing nothing, and I am full of happiness and joy for no apparent reason. So, if you want that kind of life, I would highly encourage you to do the inner work, let yourself get unstuck, and let yourself unfold right in front of your eyes. Another thing about reincarnation is it removes a whole part of your identity. Growth adds, as we talked about, but reincarnation, it removes a whole thing from your life. For example, I used to be a person who thought I could never stay alone, fearful, um, always stuck to my safety, always wanted to be a good person, never wanted to ruffle the feathers, always stayed in my lane, in between the lines, right in the middle. And then what was presented to me, the opportunity, and I said yes to it, I became a person who completely let go of the lines. Like right now, I do have people who are still trying to put me in a box. I don't fit in any box. The box doesn't even exist in my life anymore. There's no lane that exists in my life anymore. So that is a whole identity shift. And there's a whole part of my personality that is just gone. That is what reincarnation looks like, and it is so much fun. I want to talk a little bit about why this happened. We get to a level of threshold. It's just like you're unfolding the carpet, and then you get to the next turn, and it must happen because in the universe, everything is expanding and growing. And if you are not growing, then what do you feel inside? You feel dead inside. So this is just the beautiful, I will say, universal ecosystem that we live in. It everyone must go through it. Usually why we get stuck in it, one I talked about, we don't process the grief, and the second one is we want to go back. Now, if you have gone through divorce, especially if you recently went through divorce, does your mind say, I want to go back to how I used to be? Or let's say, this happened to me for a very long time in my work. You were working 9 to 5, then you became a business owner, but you are doing your business as a 9 to 5 employee. You want to go back to how things used to be because you're resistant to see who else you can become because it does not fit in with your belief system. But the belief system is old. So when you feel that tug of war in between, like, going on within you, you do know that life is asking you to be reborn and you are resisting. And resistance, my friend, is of all caps resistance, especially for those of us who have gone through it. And I'm sure you're going through some kind of resistance in your life right now. It feels heavy. Now, um, I want to talk about signs when your soul is ready for a rebirth, or things you can look in your own life and you could be like, oh, I'm headed towards that threshold. And usually it's, again, if you pay attention to, is at the age of 28, 35, 42, 49, and then the next one is 58. Um, and then, of course, in the increments of seven, keep going, and you'll increments of seven, it would be 56. It will keep happening. I usually have people come to me when they're really ready to work with me, literally around these ages. And in the sales call, I ask them, how old are you going to be in your nearest birthday? And this is exactly where they fall, because that is when they feel I'm ready to change. I want to do something about it. So these are the signs that you can look for in rebirth, because we do go through difficult season and they are seasons of growth, but the season of rebirth is very different. I'm personally going through a season of rebirth and the resistance is so massive. I see myself doing a ping pong, and I do know that eventually I'll let go through that resistance and I would let the rebirth process complete. I know we'll get there. So the first thing is you no longer recognize yourself. And what does that mean? It's not like you look in the mirror, you're like, who is this person? It's you are in your life, but things just feel weird. And again, I am going through that, and the moments that it feels so heavy, I do practice specific grounding techniques to ground myself in this reality as it is shifting. Your life starts to feel like a costume. You feel like, why am I being so fake? Like when did I become this person? That is the kind of conversations you're having in your head. If that is where you are, my friend, you're in a season of rebirth. Get ready for all aspects of your life to change. Your old coping mechanism don't work anymore. For example, in the past, you could yell at someone and, you feel calm inside. And now you just yelled at someone and you still feel agitated within you. Maybe you used to go to food and now even food doesn't satisfy. Like you have had a whole bowl of ice cream and you still feel like I I don't have anything solid to grab onto. It could be that you used to went to a friend on phone for an hour and after that you'll feel okay and you no longer feel any satisfaction from that. That means something massively within you is shifting. It's not outside of you, it's inside of you. You're maybe have finished your level one and you're being blessed with that level two while you are in this body. We can actually do that. One of the things my mentor told me, my spiritual teacher in 2022, I was in a deep meditation class and he said, how about you give yourself a goal to become one with your divine spark? Now, divine spark is higher than higher self and it's higher than reincarnated soul. So it's like two, three levels higher. It does take multiple lifetimes to get to that level, but you can get there in this lifetime. In one lifetime, you can get there. But it's not going to be by sitting there watching Netflix, eating popcorn. It's going to be engage with your life, engage with your internal shifts. So that's possible, that's available to us. Number three, the relationship and the environment feels misaligned. If you used to meet certain friends or certain people, it could be your own family, and you used to feel this warmth and comfort, and now it's not there. I'm personally going through that. It does not feel fun because we get used to being around familiar things. And we go there and then we feel good and then we feel complete and then we can go back home and we can do rest of our life. But when that is gone, you know that there is a new energetical blueprint at work and you are becoming a completely different person. Um, Another thing is you feel a pull towards something you cannot put your finger on. So what it could feel like, you might be sitting in, let's say, in middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden you want to move to a big city. Maybe you want to go to a different country. You don't know why, but you're just packing your life and you're moving there. And I have not done that personally myself. I did move city and I didn't know why I was doing it, but I just knew that I needed to get out of where I am. You might have friends or yourself, you might have moved countries, you have packed your whole life in a suitcase and went somewhere. That is when you know you're in rebirth process. The most important one is when you have this thought, I don't want to stay the same anymore. I don't want to die as this person anymore. I want to see what more can I do? What more I can become. When you have that thought, that is a telltale sign. And of course, there is a fear involved, then there's grief involved, and there's like you feel disoriented, you feel like I'm not really myself. What's happening to me? Am I going through midlife crisis? No, my friend, you're going through a beautiful process called rebirth without leaving your body. And the only way you can go through that because you have built up energy for that. So when we go through this massive challenge, that means we are ready to become more. Even though when you're going through it, it doesn't feel like it, you're going through more. So any of these symptoms that go through you, or you feel them, or you have felt them, this is a telltale sign that this is more than just a growth period. Now, another thing that happened there, as this death is happening, death of a part of you is happening, there's a void and then there's a rebirth. So what happens in the void, a lot of people start filling it. So the death part could be it's a death of an identity, it's a death of a belief, it's death of a concept in your life. For example, I had a concept that I needed a man by my side to exist. It was a belief, it was a concept, it was the conditioning, it was everything within me. And then I went through life and I thought I could exist without one. Who knew I could actually be alive? And that shifted everything else in my life. That concept needed to die. It could not come to where my soul was headed. And it's very, very important to process the grief. If right now you feel like packing your whole life and moving somewhere, make sure you keep room for some grief in there. And for those of us who are air signs, it's very easy for us to spread ourselves thin, skip over the grief, go here, go there, fill our life. For me personally, till this day, I keep an eye on where am I skipping on processing grief. And last year was all about grief for me, processing grief. And the more I processed it, the heavier it got because there were so many other layers coming up. And I realized how many years of grief was sitting there. I'm pretty sure there's still some sitting there that I have not processed. And my body got really, really sick. And by the end of the year, I decided, okay, we're ready. We're ready for this rebirth. So from January, I have been a very different version of me. Bringing us to the void. Now, void is like a womb. Think of our uterus. It's empty. It's empty space. What happens in the void? You're coming out of a relationship. You want to jump on another relationship. You just got divorced. You want to go visit the whole world because life feels unfamiliar, unstable. You feel like you're floating in space. We want to hold on to something solid, but the new version is not fully formed yet. The energy is still coming together and forming it. So we go for distractions. And my friend, if you are in a void right now, if you find yourself alone in between two different lives right now and your life doesn't make sense, the one thing I can request to you, that is where you would do the best service to yourself. Don't fill up the space. Be with the void. The only thing this part requires is your presence. Be present with yourself. Go for a walk alone. Be alone. Don't fill up your whole time meeting with friends. What I did very strategically, I did not renew my passport for 3 years because I knew if I had my passport, I will definitely be traveling the world. That is what I did. And I got so many invitations to go here and there and there. And I just stayed put. I did go a weekend here, weekend there, but no longer vacation because I knew I will be running away from my pain. And if you can do that for yourself, you're just going to make your rebirth process faster because rebirth is going to happen regardless. When we have that grief stuck, and it's usually in your back heart when the grief is stuck there and it's closing, everything feels so hard. And again, I personally know someone who's stuck in that life, but there's nothing I can do for them until they are ready to process that grief. Now, how can you choose um, yourself as you're becoming a new person? This is, again, very challenging, especially your loved ones, everybody around you. To them, you still look the same. They're expecting same response from you. They're still expecting like, maybe you call them 3 times a day. Well, maybe you no longer feel warmth in those calls. So staying loyal to yourself as you are becoming this new version could be another challenge of itself. So we want to keep choosing ourselves. There's no other way around it. Wake up every single day and make a new commitment to yourself. Are you going to choose a new version of you that is becoming through you, or you're going to choose the old version of you? I can tell you in all honesty, I go through a ping pong process and I'm one of those people, it take me some time to really get on board. I go through that ping pong, going to the old version, and eventually one day When I fully realize it doesn't give me any juice anymore, then I get on board. But that choice, I also call that resistance, and I'm experiencing that right now. I allow myself to sit through resistance as long as I need. One time I let myself sit through resistance for 5 months. And this is another big point, my friend. Let's say you've decided to lose weight for whatever reason. Or let's say you just went through divorce and you're just doing a makeover of your whole life and you're being so boot camp style about it. I don't recommend that. You can be boot camp style with yourself. You are going to lose weight, but all those emotions are going to be inside of you. So then you'll be this skinny person with high cholesterol and hormonal issues. That's not really health. That's not a healthy body. Healthy body is not just being lean. It's feeling whole within you. So go slow, pause, see what you need, what resistance is showing up, how long you need to be present with yourself in that resistance before it melts away. It always melts away, my friend. It's the part of you that needs to see, can it trust you to hold this new energy, hold this new self? And there's no other way to explain it unless you go through it yourself. That is when you can really see, oh, that is what Alia was talking about. And I'm very sure all of us has gone through that stage, and now we can pinpoint what it was. Um, so as you become this new version of yourself, what it really requires is you choosing yourself, you staying loyal to yourself. Are you going to lose friends? Yes, you will. Are you going to lose even your family? Most likely you will. I did. But what you're gaining within you is going to be so worth it, my friend. It's not selfish. The world needs a higher version of you. Your lineage needs a higher version of you. My lineage needs a higher version of a woman who can see the divine within her. So that does require me being loyal to myself and me choosing myself. And now the one thing you can ask yourself if you are in that stage of like, you just went through a rebirth and you're in between and you're like, my close people don't understand it. Ask yourself every single day, what do you need? What do you desire? Again, these are not selfish things. In my world, being selfish is the most selfless thing you can do, because when you're selfish, you're filling yourself up, and when someone will come to you, you will give them without any strings attached. When we are running that whole selfless thing underneath the surface, we are being conditional with every single person. So let's be honest with ourselves. How do we really do things? And it's very interesting when parents who think they're being very selfless and they're being very conditional because they're not filling their cup. They want their kids to fill up their cup. So what is it that you want? What is it that you need? What is it that you require? When you will give yourself that, you'll be able to work through with your surrounding with so much ease. Now, here comes the most exciting part, my favorite part, and that is the role of the heart in your rebirth process. My friend, rebirth only happens from the heart. Your mind is going to try to bring logic, logistic, a plan, strategy, and nothing will happen. I can tell you how many years I planned for divorce. I tried to do divorce from my mind. It just didn't happen. And then one day it came from my heart. It happened at the worst possible time it could happen for my mind. But that was the time it was going to happen because it was coming from my heart. And it almost feel like I had no control over it. I couldn't even control it. We all have been in that situation when it just comes through you and there's nothing you can do. You have no longer control over your own faculties, and nothing makes sense to you. Nothing makes sense to you. That is how the heart plays a role in it. So, if you're already going through a rebirth process, that's one thing. But if you want to go through a rebirth process on demand, that is what I do. That I've been doing that for past 6 years. That is what I do. I look at myself, what part of me I'm ready to transform. I am ready to transform. It's not that what world is demanding or what the universe is demanding. I look at myself and I ask, what is it I'm ready to transform? And through my heart, aligning with my heart, I create that transformation. And in my one-on-one work, in that container, that is the deep work that we do. There's not going to be a strategy, there's not going to be a plan. But what is going to be there is a decision. If you have not made a decision, nothing is going to move through you, within you. A lot of us, we make a decision here. We decide this is what I would do because this makes sense, because it's logical, it's going to bring me more money, it's going to bring me this, that is not going to work. When the decision is felt here, and how it feels, it says, I am ready. I go with I am ready to choose myself. Another beautiful thing about heart is that it is the first organ that gets formed. It is formed before the brain is formed. It has a bigger energy field than the brain. It is the oldest intelligence within us because it connects us with the soul. The 5 levels I talked about, you want to access them, it's through your heart. So your heart is always involved in rebirth. Now, what if your heart is closed? That is when we feel stuck. That is when it's been 10 years and your life look exactly the same. Same job, same relationship, same everything, you're feeling bored. There's no growth. There's maybe growth happening, but there's no rebirth happening. You're still the same person that you were 10 years ago. I have personally lived that lifestyle, and I can tell you from firsthand, it is not fun to be human that way. So what heart is invites us, it's transformation without involving all the strategy. It's not doing what makes sense to you. It's doing what you feel called to, but it doesn't make sense to you. It's not logical. Um, if you are in this stage already, or if you want to go to that stage, if you want to go to that stage, you can always reach out to me. I can guide you through the process, how you can transform your life on demand from your heart and mold it into the most beautiful life you could have ever imagined and the most higher version that you could imagine. We can work on that. But if you're here right now and you are going through the rebirth process and you feel stuck, it's time to spend some time with your heart. How you're going to do it, find a quiet time, sit with yourself, put your hand on your heart, write a letter to your heart, talk to your heart, not just your physical heart, the heart center, heart chakra that connects you with your soul. What is it trying to tell you? My most favorite question to ask myself is, what is my soul trying to tell me right now? I know I can get to the soul only if my heart is open. So that is a shortcut that you can use too. Let your heart lead you. Your heart might say, go here, do this, do that. Mine will say that doesn't make sense. Let yourself go ahead and do it. I just practiced it yesterday for something, and I was surprised what I discovered on the other side. I did not give in to fear. I did not give in to the limitation that mind was presenting to me. When you follow your heart's voice, which is actually your soul's voice, you always end up in the most magical place, my friend. Even if right now feels so difficult and nothing makes sense to you, you will end up in a place that feels perfectly yours and it makes sense to you. And now the biggest one is let your heart hold you. When you stop feeling warmth in your relationships, when you stop feeling warmth in things that brought you joy at some point. Ice cream used to bring me so much joy. Give me a Magnum and I'm a happy baby. And then I couldn't taste any joy in it. I tilt, like, even right now, I do love ice cream. I like to eat it, but there's no joy in it anymore. You know where I really find joy in myself? Closing my eyes, bringing my awareness into the heart, feeling my heart's light, and just stay there. The more you go there, the more you connect with your heart. Let your heart hold you. Let your heart nurture you, feed you. If you're open to go a little bit deeper, see the light of the heart around you. As you inhale, bring in that light. As you exhale, send out that light. When you bring in that light, imagine it's being absorbed in every single cell of your body. As you exhale, you're emanating light out into the world. What I just shared with you is a technique to feed off of your soul's light. You can do that and your hunger will go away. The more you practice it, it is so nourishing. Like that is when, those people who stay in meditation for like, 10 days, 20 days, 40 days, they're just sitting there. Where are they being fed from? They're being fed from their soul light. And my friend, that is available to you. That is available to me. You don't have to be a Swami to have access to that or a saint to have access to that. We have access to the same light and we can use it for a rebirth process. We can use it to reincarnate on demand. You can reincarnate every 7 years. You can reincarnate every 10 years. You can become a completely different person. You can contribute to a completely different level to this beautiful world that we live in. So I invite you to look at your life and see what part is already going through rebirth and what part is ready for rebirth. And if you would like my assistance in that, reach out to me. Go to my website and you can book a consultation with me. And my website is aliyajmalcoaching.com. And I would love to be your guide on this beautiful journey where you keep choosing yourself because you're being loyal to your soul. So that is all for today. I will see you next Thursday. Sending you so much love. Bye.